Trova to just build some armor and not really have to worry too much about these team fights other than the Gragas. So it'll be interesting to see what routes they decide to go with their builds. But I gotta say, just looking at this draft, I'm already favoring Trova Nova. I think their team composition is very, very strong. They have a lot of AoE, a lot of burst damage, and a lot of that
Trova Nova
displacement.
are going to be the team that we're going to be having to look out for. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2 so far. It is 1-0, as you can see on your screens, for the side of Trova Nova. If they win this one, their match ends in a 2-0 in favor of Nova. That means that Game Lord would be actually winning himself 0 points, and that will be 2 points going away of Nova. But we're getting into this one, and everyone's going to be packed up for Trova Nova, looking maybe for an early frag to go their way.
And the one thing I will say for the side of GML is that their 2 carries are very slippery. You know, between the Zed and the Ezreal, they are both very difficult to actually track down and, you know, keep consistent damage on. So that is kind of going to be their biggest win condition, is how are these 2 going to be able to play Reza and, of course, Azure as well. If they can manage to kind of dance around these team fights and really avoid and navigate through all the crowd control that Trova Nova has, then they do have a way to win this game. But it's going to be so important for the 2 of them to play exceptionally well during team fights.
It's going to be a big part of their win condition. Hopefully they're able to make it happen. Though on the bottom side, going to go for a little bit of a knockup. No big response though from Grizz. He is Alistar, so he can take it like an absolute chank. But then on the top side, Darius has been doing the jungle camp. Very similar rotation to what we saw earlier for Trova Nova, and they might try and find himself a collapse onto Moogly very soon. We haven't seen too much actually cross-mapping in the first game. It was happening a little bit, but not as at the extent that I've been seeing throughout the past few esport events that's been happening for Wild Rift. So it seemed like teams a lot more focused around especially these jungle objectives, and twice in a row actually, the first Drake is going to be Infernal, which hopefully we're not going to have like a 10-minute Drake. Hopefully.
What I would almost like to see is if we're going to have that, if you know, teams do start to kind of have this dance around Dragon of not a team really being able to take it, I actually almost want to see a team just say, okay, you know what? We're just going to bail off Dragon, go towards Rift Herald, and just try and use that to steamroll down a lane and, you know, sacrifice the Dragon, perhaps. I know it's very risky to do so, especially because Infernal is such a strong buff to have, but if it's going to be at the cost of just delaying and stalling and potentially, you know, just risking everything on one team fight that could go, you know, the wrong way, I would like to see teams sort of adapt and maybe change things up from that.
One thing that I've seen some of the teams actually doing in that regard is not even go for the Herald, they just go for towers, because towers are worth so much gold. If you want to get an early lead by just getting extra items under your belt, you can give away that initial Drake and then just go for big pushes, pick up 1 or even potentially 2 towers. Mid is even more valuable because you open access to the river, which I think would be a potentially good idea for a team that decides to potentially give up the Infernal. But you said it, it's a very powerful one. Gonna have the flash in from Hegman into the bottom side. Gonna get some good engage, especially paired up with Ika. That's strong, forcing some pretty big responses. But no first blood coming out from that trade-off for the time being at least. But Zed, he sees them low. He's currently level 5. That ultimate is going to be available. This is not going to be looking pretty for Trova Nova. Hydro on the back foot. Going to have to avoid that one, especially they're only level 4. That means Hydro just can't also dash out of that one. But Zed, hey, there you go. Good rotation coming out from Vex. They knew something was up, and they're just going to try and disengage and diffuse that entire situation.
Yeah, both Vex and Vejos both rotating down, making sure that play that was trying to be set up by Zed just is not going to be happening. Very good communication from the team to make sure that doesn't go through. Meanwhile, I want to look up a little bit at this top lane with Mowgli and Kama going back and forth. Just want to point out, as a longtime PC League of Legends player, still feels very strange to see Jarvan in the top lane with the Darius in the jungle, but that's besides the point. Obviously, certain champions do excel in different roles here in Wild Rift. So for anyone who is primarily a PC player, your eyes do not deceive you. That is actually kind of the way that these champions are lining up for this game. It's not a mistake. It's not a suboptimal thing or anything like that. It is just certain champions play in different roles a little bit more effectively in Wild Rift.
And I like it, to be honest. It's a little bit different of the PC counterpart. I think it stands out a little bit more of as its own product, which I'm not going to be against that. But I think that the role differences like that are a little bit staggering, maybe for some of the new players coming in from PC to mobile. But it seemed like we're going to have a little bit of a standoff happening towards this Drake position, towards the river. Moogly going to be face checking that one. Going to get himself a little damage. There you go, though. The airborne. Nice shockwave around top of the Gragas. Going to have to soak it up. Is he going to go down first? Seems like Eggman is not looking healthy. And indeed, that's going to be first blood for Trova Nova. It's going to be a trade-off. Kills come in both ways. Ezreal from a distance, though, going to be taking a 1v1 versus Hydro. The flash is coming on through. Got two big fights currently happening. As Malphite is going to be an extra casualty. Azure, though, extremely low. Going to get slowly picked up. Can he make it alive? No, he can't. And now, because they pick up all the frags, this opens up the opportunity, maybe, for Trova Nova to go for this Infernal. Going to leash it away, but Zed is still there, and they are pretty low, so it seems like this might still be a risk, and they understood it, so this is copy-paste. Game 1, apparently. No one takes Drake.
I actually disagree with this decision to back off from the Drake. You knew you only had 2 members on the board. You could have even just kited it out a little bit and then just tried to turn in hard engage onto the Zed. If you weren't going to commit to the Dragon fully, then you could still look for an extra kill off the back end of that. So the fact that they just hard disengage after, sort of half committing to the Dragon, you have to be willing to hard commit to your decisions. And if you're going to do that half commit to the Dragon, you have to be looking for another play off the back end of it. Otherwise, you're just wasting time. They literally just gave their opponents an opportunity to get back on the map, get priority position on this Drake, and then they have to recall themselves to be able to get those items purchased that their opponents were just able to get because of the deaths. But now they give up that priority position, and we're going to have this whole dance all over again.
Especially when I cast PUBG Mobile, is something that I also say, indecision is your biggest enemy. If you're not sure of what you're doing, then teams are going to punish that on the opposing side. So you've got to be very sure of what you want to do. If you want to disengage instantly. If you want to take it, you've got to take it rather quickly. Otherwise, you're going to get punished by Game Lord for sure. Oh, Rakan slowly going to be having to join up. You had a backport also from the Gragas, so he's going to be having to get himself some items. Some small resets back and forth between these two teams. Alistar maybe looking for an opportunity. Good grab through the wall. Not going to be looking good for Moogly. And he's going to be having to ult his way to safety. But unfortunately, the Cataclysm is there, and he's going to get dunked upon by Vex. That's going to be their 4th kill. And especially when you have a Darius get ahead, he is a scary pentakill type champion. He can kill your entire team in just a few clicks. And now Drake, it seemed like maybe a little bit of an indecision here, or maybe not. Are you going to fully commit? They're going to leash it a little bit their way, looking for an opportunity. They're all stacked up on top of each other. Gragas might be looking for a good opportunity. So the shockwave is available, which is going to be a big deciding factor for Vejos to see if he can take for the engage. Flashing, coming out right off the bat from the Alistar. That's big, but they're suffering so much big damage. But the shockwave is going to be big also from the side of Vejos. But Dre's going to have to move away. So many flashes used away for Game Lord. And can't do much as in the top side also. That is going to be another character very deep, a little bit too far. Razor gonna get the ignite actually on top of Grizz. Is Grizz gonna go down? I believe he is actually, and that's gonna be a kill for the Zed. Rather nice trade-off. Now they got the man advantage, but they're still not looking very healthy. And this Corki, he could go for a few snipes from a distance. They're gonna pop the heals, get himself a little bit healthier. Maybe one lucky steal will coming out. Zed gonna dive on deep. Unfortunately, gonna regret that decision. Hydro picks it up, but at least this is gonna be a somewhat early, at least for these teams. It's a somewhat early Drake going their way.
And that's exactly what I was talking about previously, that Trova Nova was not willing to commit to the Dragon. GML, as soon as they got the opportunity, they went onto the Dragon. They knew they were low, but they had Mowgli still at almost full health. So he just goes in, tanks up the Dragon, and they're able to just completely take this objective and use the rest of the members to zone away the opposition. So Dragon goes over, but it is traded out nicely here. That's the other thing that you have to look for. That I'm actually very happy to see Trova Nova doing is when your opponents get an objective, if your team hasn't been aced, if they're not getting the objective because of an ace, you should be looking for something else across the map. But right now, there's another fight here around this blue buff.
Moogly hit such a good ultimate there on 2 characters, but there was no one that was able to really follow up on that. A little bit of a miscommunication, apparently. Moogly, the face check going to happen. Bumped against the wall, instantly into the pulverize. The shockwave does not connect, but Moogly's going to be having to force his flash through to survive that one. But you said it also in Game 1 that you wanted to see potentially losing a Drake, trade into a Herald or extra objectives, and they did it. So I think that's a big win from Trova Nova, and through that, they can get themselves, especially mid-control with that Herald. That would be a big W going their way.
Yeah, very small gold lead currently for the side of Trova Nova. It's going to be an Ezreal ult just stopping the recalls. It's kind of almost a BM move at that point, just saying, you're trying to recall into your turret. I'm just going to throw an ult and stop it for a second. It is such a short cooldown that you will have that available for if another engage does break out at some point. But I'd be curious to see where they decide to go, Trova Nova, now that there's not really any major objectives on the map. Both teams still kind of posturing up a little bit, but not really committing to a team fight. And I don't think you I don't think either team really wants a team fight at the moment either.
Yeah, they're going to try and potentially hit their scaling point a little bit quicker. We've got a few items of interest that just got purchased, which I think could be making teams want to go for those engages, especially got Leandres for the Gragas, despite the nerf. Rod of Age is also for the Malphite, very similar to what Mowgli did in Game 1. So he's going to wait a little bit more to scale the item to get more HP and also AP under his belt, which shows potentially why they want to try and take it slow a little bit. But I'm seeing a big lack of communication from Game Lord in these games, which they are still experimenting on stuff in these tournaments, which I have nothing up against, but this is a main reason why they are struggling, because they are still getting used to these respective roles in which they're playing, especially Hegman, that usually plays the Alistar support position in ranked. He's going to have to adapt to a completely different role, which is not easy to do, really, so early on in the competitive scene.
Yeah, definitely not. And also looking to see where this Rift Herald is going to be used, because Veos still has this. Is you going to be using it for the empowered recall for now, which is a great idea. You know, holding on to that objective so that you can have that boosted recall. It can be very useful, but at some point you're going to have to want to figure out where you want to use that Rift Herald, where you're going to want to put it down and try and get an extra push. A lot of times Orianna might be looking for the side lane. Yeah, we do see Orianna going towards the bottom lane. I think that will be the best option currently. You have the most gold to gain in terms of turrets to knock down. But right now, big engage mid.
That was a big engage from the Gragas. Perfectly used onto Hydro. Not going to be able to hit the ultimate for the Ezreal, unfortunately. That ulti will not be able to do anything, though. Malphite TP into the bot lane to avoid the shove from happening. And these are the good attempts. I like this coming out from Game Lord. They're trying stuff out. Sure, it didn't work out, but the ultimate cooldown on Gragas is not all that long, so they could just wait a few seconds and they should be able to reuse it, hopefully in the next upcoming fight. But Trova Nova being also a little bit scaredy cat of that one, which I fully understand, and I think that was a good thing. But Hydra, you got to keep in mind, if you're not able to take him down in the first few seconds, the mobility coming out from the Corki is through the roof. So if he survives the first initiation, he's going to be so good.
Okay. I saw the Eye of the Herald disappear from the inventory and thought maybe it just had gone without being used, but it did get popped in the mid lane. But they're actually just using this to get some pressure on mid so that they can take the dragon. Really, really smart play from Trova Nova here. Using the Rift Herald effectively as a distraction and saying, you guys have to deal with this. We're going to go take this dragon. Hobos gets stolen by an Ezreal ultimate, but does get secured, and now a fight.
A fight's going to be happening as top lane Jarvan survives with just about 1 HP. Great engage from Mowgli. The team's going to be following, but a little bit late. Everyone mid HP for Trova Nova. And they should be able to make it pretty far away. But Azurier taking that fight solo. Can he find the frag? That's going to be an instant deletion. He's not able to do anything in that fight. And that's going to be Game Lord now, able to actually move away from that one. So unfortunately, a little bit of an overstep and overconfidence from Azurier, and he's going to regret that one wholeheartedly. But you talked about it, using that objective, that Herald as a bait to get the Drake. That was really well played by Trova Nova.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very smart play, using the map control and playing around the objectives. That's the key to a game like Wild Rift, is just making sure that you're, kind of pushing and pulling your opponents where you want them to go. And let yourself dictate the pace of the game. That's exactly what they were able to do with that Rift Herald. And again, you give up the first dragon, get the Rift Herald, use that Rift Herald to then secure yourself this second dragon. So now it's 1 dragon each. Obviously, Cloud, it's still very effective. Maybe not quite as effective as the Infernal, but they were able to get so much more in terms of the turrets and getting themselves a dragon for themselves as well. It's still a very good play by the side of Trova Nova, just playing the map and playing it smart.
Seems like they're going to smartly try and go for an engage. Vex looking for the grab, not able to hit it. That also did get buffed in update 2.1a, where if he hits that grab, he's able to get himself a little bit of extra slow. That's another great engage, but Alistar actually maybe going to turn the tides of the fight in his favor. Hegman, instant regret, and not able to do much, but this is going to be the stasis coming up from Hydro, negating the ultimate from the Zed, and now it's time for Vex to maybe shine as he does burn down, might get a casualty on his way. But 7-3, and now they're going pretty low. But Zuri from this distance can do some actually really good work, and got to keep in mind that here, Vejos still's got that shockwave available. But that was that move from Hegman was so well played initially, and then boom, Alistar doing Alistar things.
Yeah, Hegman had a great ultimate on the engage, but then actually missed the body slam, and that's what allowed Hegman to have allowed the Grizz on the Alistar to be able to get out of that situation. So a little bit unfortunate there for Hegman, missing the big body slam follow-up after the beautiful ultimate, and it ends up actually becoming a negative play for them when it could have been something very, very good. So now we're just going to be kind of resetting a bit here. Baron is up. So we got to expect teams to be moving towards that objective here soon.
Hopefully very soon. We talked about the Infernal Drake too early on, that it was potentially worth to get towers and everything for, but at this stage now it's starting to scale a lot more. The damage is going to be ramping up for the team of Trova Nova, so this Drake is going to be worth even more. So Game Lord got to try and find a game plan, because otherwise that Infernal buff that they were not able to get early on, they're going to heavily regret that decision. Ika knocked into the air. Gonna have to jump his way back and pop the shield on his teammates. He should be good, but Baron being available currently, this could be something good for Trova Nova to somewhat threaten this Baron, force a fight to come to them because they are currently in the lead, and after pick up a few frags and then actually convert that entire fight into a Baron is something that's rather usual in competitive, especially in the Philippines. You see a lot of teams do that. But it seems like they're going to go more down the usual route. They're just going to try and go for a little bit of a push in mid, especially for Game Lord. They're not able to find a turret just yet, but I'm seeing in the bottom side, this is going to be Vex in a really scary spot. Going to have to just run his way to safety. He should be okay, but Game Lord now, no, one player is going to be rather low. So here, mid turret would be fantastic for them to pick up at this stage.
Yeah, getting this posture up with 15 seconds until this dragon spawns. Again, both teams going to really want to secure this one. Looking for those extra stats from the mountain dragon. That's going to be, right now priority to the side of GML on this objective. Although they're kind of giving that up a little bit. As you see, the vision control for the side of Nova is giving them a little bit more pressure in this river. They're just pushing up mid though. They're saying, hey, you know what? You guys want to just try and play this position game. We're going to move in, push the minions up. You have to go answer that. And now we can just move on to Dragon and take this almost for free. But they're also trying to set up a gank. They're a little bit kind of decided on what they want to be doing here. Dragon's down to about half. Here comes GML. We're going to have an engage here shortly.
And the leash is towards them. Ultimate from the Ezreal. Not going to be doing too much, unfortunately. Corki going straight for the back line. It's a little bit of a risk, but he's able to flash his way to safety. Taking a one-on-one with his Razor. The Cataclysm on the Malphite. Not really the main target you're looking for. Also the Shockwave connecting on top of Hegman, but he's also going to be rather tanky. He's going to be a beefy boy. And now they're falling down like flies. This is not looking good for the side of Game Lord. They get a knock up at the end, but it's just not going to be enough. It's way too late for them. And it is time to dunk it down. Vex eliminates the remaining players of Game Lord. That's an ace, and that's going to be an easy Drake for Trova Nova.
No, they don't even want the Drake. They're going to go right to the mid lane. Are they going to look for Baron, or are they just going to look to
Baron.
push? They are going for the Baron. Definitely makes sense, but also sending one member to do a little bit of pushing, take the honey fruit as well to heal back up before going towards this objective. They know they have plenty of time here, 20 seconds before anyone is going to be back out on the map. This is an easy Baron take for the side of Trova Nova. And I got to say, the Corki play at the start of that fight, it looked a little dicey, but it was actually so smart to dive in with the package and then jump over the wall. It split up the entire team of GML and allowed them to then isolate and focus targets down. Getting the Zed kill initially is so important. You take him out, and that is so much of the damage from the side of GML just off the table. Really, really good team fight there for the side of Trova Nova.
He did scare me a little bit, I'm not going to lie initially, but because he has the stasis enchant, he can afford to take a one-on-one with the Zed. He can easily cleanse the ultimate, and he's going to be surviving that one pretty well at the end of the day. Both groups are going to be now pushing mid and also the bottom side for Trova Nova. I'm looking for it. They find a mid turret, so they're going to be opening even more of the enemy jungle for themselves as they're slowly going to try and regroup, maybe finding an opening pick with this Alistar on the front line. Grizz is going to try and make his way behind. But they're not going to be committing as a squad as of yet. They're looking for the turret initially, but yeah, he's ready to engage anytime. Shockwave going to be a two-man Shockwave. Insane engage from the Orianna, and there's nothing they can do. Game Lord are just falling behind, and this is looking potentially like an easy win for Trova Nova. As Ulthe got with the Baron buff they got earlier, this is going to be now the Nip turret going down. They crack it open, some natural pressure being born in this lane. As Darius actually left the entire position, he's going to try and get some extra push in mid, which, no, fair enough, but they do not need the Darius. Apparently, they find an extra frag at the end on top of Hegman. And this might just be a game. There is going to be the backdoor buff for the next 45 seconds, making that Nexus a little bit tankier. The stasis enchant from Viros really well played. Going to cleanse that entire ultimate through. And this should be normally game. The Nexus is bare, and this is going to be 2-0 game going in favor of Trova Nova.
Yeah, no, who cares about the backdoor buff when you have your entire team with Baroned up minions pouring into the base as well. And great stuff from the side of Trova Nova. And Darius was able to threaten just enough throughout the grab. It was a nice stasis to avoid the grab from Darius, but that leaves you so vulnerable to something like the Shockwave. As soon as the stasis wore off, immediate Shockwave and follow-up from the team. Ezreal just got deleted, And from that point, that's pretty much your team fight gone for the side of GML. So Trovo Nova playing the objectives really well this game, playing the map, forcing their opponents to move where they wanted them to, and able to take down this victory and take the series 2-0.
2-0. And not gonna lie, it looked really easy for Trova Nova in this one. They had clear win conditions, and even when there was a win condition for Game Lord,